This is pens down. Here we get journalists to sit, drop their pens, and then they become the newsmakers rather than the news reporters, presenters. We talk their. I have been joined today by another colleague. He has a background in psychology and human resource management from the University of Ghana and currently works with the Multimedia Group Limited as a broadcast journalist cum producer. His reporting interests span across politics, security, and climate change. He is also a product of the Institute of Commercial Management, UK, and has been in active service, practicing journalism for well over 8 years. Samuel Mbura is my guest today. Welcome, my brother.
Thank you very much, Jesse.
Right. I am curious. You say climate change is one of your reporting interests.
Yeah.
In Ghana, one of the things, the evils we are grappling with respect to climate change, which we seem to be inflicting on ourselves, is the Galamsey menace. Have you personally had encounters with the field as far as Galamsey is concerned and how it is wreaking havoc on our vegetative cover?
Yes, it is an obvious knowledge that that is the trend in Ghana now, and many health experts are raising concern. Aside what we journalists go around to see, we know these are evidences on the grounds for us to see. The last time I engaged the Environmental Protection Agency, it will baffle you to know that regulations around the use of mercury, in which we know that's the major substance in the entire processing of gold, is not something that is quite strong in Ghana. And if you look at the trans-border, activities in relation to mercury, it's actually a call for worry. And that is why the relevant authorities are now putting in place a defined document to track that as part of the measures in reducing the rate at which Galamsey is spreading across the country. It is not only in the southern part of the country. I have worked in the northern part of the country for the past 7 years. I have been there. You go to the Upper East region, we have Galamseyers there.
Around in the Upper East region, people are doing Galamsey?
Yeah, we have people who do Galamsey. People also do the small-scale mining. They actually do the surface mining, and the effects are there for you to see. Sometime in 2015, I was in one of the communities in the Talisi district, and the major challenge that we saw per my investigations then was the fact that people were inhaling the mercury substance without knowing the effects. You see children, mothers around the sun that they have gathered from these mining sites, trying to see them, and they are inhaling them and all that. So when I see people talk about Galamsey, they said maybe you are not someone who is not a hinterland type of journalist. You sit in Accra, you talk about Galamsey, you may not know what actually goes into it. And it's actually wreaking so much havoc that for now, we cannot quantify the level of damage that we have caused the environment. But I'm really devastated about the situation. The last time I was actually moving to the eastern region, I saw so many places that my heart actually sank. I was like, wow, is that where we have reached as a country? If you look at the aerial view, that at first you'll be in the skies, you know mostly when the aircraft is coming from Tamale towards Accra, it uses the Volta region, passes the eastern region, and you see from there when they are lower the altitude, you see that our vegetation is really under threat. And I think we are joking about the situation. It is getting worse every day. It's getting worse.
Who influenced you to come into journalism, or was it your own decision?
So I was actually motivated to go into journalism. In my early stage of life, there was this reporter who used to report for GBC, and growing up, that was the only radio, or that was the only channel we could listen to. And his name was one Alex Mbura. So like they used to play his reports on Ghana Today, and I was so much impressed about his report. So I started actually imitating him, and my sisters used to call me by that name. So I was actually motivated by his reports, and there was there was a program that he attended somewhere in 2000. So in my community in Bongo, in the Upper East region. So when he came, I saw him. I was so happy. I went and greeted him, and then I told him about myself, that one day I'd like to be like him. And he said, okay, you can work towards it. You speak good English, so you can work towards it. And the fortunate thing for me was that I grew up in a secondary school community, so I had the opportunity to meet more teachers, and most of my friends at that early age were English teachers. So I go to them. I was able to pick up the English language much faster than even at the stage I was in the primary agencies. I was able to master to an extent the English language. So it gave me the edge. So whenever I get the newspapers, I read them, I follow the format, I listen to the news, and it actually gave me that grounding. But along the line, I wanted to switch. I felt, no, I should be a lawyer. I should become a lawyer in the future. So I started also looking at how lawyers present their cases, and then started having interest in the law fraternity. But when I was in secondary school, I followed Kojo Oponkroma briefly on Joy after Komla Dumont left and all that. So he's one person that actually motivated me to do radio to be specific. I listened to his introduction. I record him. He comes in when he plays the song, and he comes in with the introduction. You are listening to the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. I always got motivated by that. So I was like, wow, one day I want to be like Kojo Oponkroma, because I fell in love with his voice, the flair, and everything. I loved radio from that onset. One thing about me was that I never liked TV, because I didn't want to be so much exposed to everyone. I just wanted to be, heard on radio, making an impact. So after secondary school, I actually wanted to do something different before I get into journalism. And my brother was suggesting that, okay, I could go into the law school. Unfortunately, the law school, they pay heavily, and by then times were not quite good. So I said, okay, what I would do is that I would start a career in journalism. Then later I can now get into, because if you look at the field of journalism and then law is basically the same. So by then I was in Kumasi, so I got in touch. I made contact with a few friends. So okay, they run some of the ICM UK courses in Kumasi. So why don't you do it at the Christian Service University? So I said, okay, let me start with that. So I started with a training. So that's how come I had the ICM training in journalism. Even though it's UK, but it's a UK accredited course, worldwide known. But I did it from Ghana here. So I was able to go through, and then I was certified, and then I started campus radio. And what I used to do was that from the onset, I defined the role I wanted to go into. That is purely morning show, political morning show. So whenever we go to the studio for the in-studio session, some of my colleagues knew that was my field, because even though I did not have any radio background, but because of the fact that I used to listen to the bigwigs in radio, on radio, it gave me the upper hand to at least script an intro, know what to say, what to do at the point, and all that. So anytime we go to the in-studio sessions, they give me the main master mic to hold the show. So we have a normal political talk show, and then it started from there. But before then, in 2012, I was stringing. I used to string for some of the media houses. The 2012 elections, for instance, I covered it in Kumasi. I was at one of the polling stations at Edum, so I had a fair background on how to do political, election reporting and all that. So I actually got into active journalism in 2014.
Okay.
At Capital Radio. That's where I started my journalism from at Capital Radio, one of the renowned English radio stations in the Ashanti region. Yeah. So I actually got in touch with a friend. We used to chat on Facebook, and I would want to suggest to everyone that you need to be mindful of what you do with your social media platform. It gives you an opportunity to break or lose. I got in touch with a friend. He's called Joseph Opoku-Gapo, formerly he's still with Joy FM. But by then he was with Capital Radio and was living. So I used to chat him on Facebook because he was doing Kumasi Accra because he was with KNUST or so. So at a point he joined Joy. So I think that was the time I got in touch with him. There was this program called Ghana Connect. Is still with us here at Joy FM.
Yes, on Fridays.
I commented on the page on Facebook that I was interested to join the conversation. And fortunately, I was picked among the panelists that would join via phone. So I think my performance was impressive. On the Ghana Connect, that was on a Friday. So since then I became friends with Joseph Gapo, and then he was the one who recommended me that since I'm in Kumasi, I can just start with Capital Radio. So my active radio journey actually started on Capital Radio. And when I got there as an intern. And I think 2014, the BEC examination, I was sent to Kumasi Girls to file a report on the entire process of the BEC. So I reported from there. Then that was my first radio, live report on the news. So I think my reporter, David Efrifa Boachi, was so much impressed about my report. He was like, Mbura, have you been reporting before? And I said, oh no, I do follow news report a lot. So maybe that actually worked the trick for me. So my programs manager, Nana Boachi Yadom, he was a good man. He felt, he has a lot to offer. Then they started giving me major roles in the newsroom. And my general manager, Kosi Asise, was also supportive. He said, Mbura, you'll be a great broadcaster. I think you have the voice. I think you have the flair. It's like you also have the passion.
Yeah.
So from the onset, radio has been a passion to me. I didn't go into radio because I want to be famous. I didn't go into radio because I want to make money, because I already did some background about it and I knew where I was going to. So when sometimes some people approach me and feel like, oh, I want to go into radio, I hope it's paying. I tell them, look, the work of journalism is a calling. If you are not called, you can't do it. You give up along the line. And later, I know I'll be telling you my regret. Certain instances that occurred in my line of work that I felt I was unappreciated and I felt so let down. So still on my journey at Capital Radio, I was there for between 2014 to 2015. And within that short period, I was given a platform. And one trick that worked for me was that I had to even sleep at the station at a point. It wasn't the case I didn't have a place to sleep, but I wanted to learn more. So I suggested to my news editor that, 10 p.m. is always free. 10 p.m. Why don't you have news headlines at 10 p.m.? I would do that. Then he was like, will you be able to do it? And I said, oh yeah, I would do it, because I knew what I wanted to do. So he gave me the opportunity. Every 10 p.m. I'll come in. At the time, Joy FM will be giving the 10 p.m. news. My friend Joseph Gapo was there. So I used to liaise with him. Joseph, okay, you are going at 10. I'm also going at 10. He guides me. Okay, then I go ahead and read the news at 10 p.m. Once it's also on the news at 10. So I record it, then play and listen to myself, try to make the corrections where necessary. And one of the trainings we had at Capital Radio, because we were affiliated to the DW, was that my programs manager will tell you to go and record DW, listen to their news, transcribe the script, and next time write your script according to that. Listen to the BBC and then write your script according to that. And I think that training actually gave me a stronger foundation. I was able to move from a news reporter to the newsroom as a producer, a news reader, and then it got to a point that I had to leave Kumasi because I needed to pursue other interests. And by then, I still wanted to do radio, but not actively because of my bias. I have some bias for the environment. My uncle was more into the environmental protection, and we had a project we called the Farmer Managing Natural Regeneration. It's a type of technique that is that was started somewhere in the Sahelian areas, Niger, Mali, and all that. And what they do is that because the weather there is not quite conducive, they rather nurture the natural shrubs for them to grow to become trees. So we're looking at that particular technique in the northern part of the country because we know that some of the trees they do not adapt to the environment. So we're trying to see how we can use the natural shrubs through the NGO, that's the Movement for Natural Regeneration, to make northern Ghana green, especially the Upper East region. So when he sold the idea to me, I bought into it and I had to get packing from Kumasi after I had at least made some headways in my career as a journalist, because I was basically rising at a faster rate because there were bigger reports that ordinarily someone who is not that older in the field would not go there, just like the court, just like demonstration. Remember in 2014, there was a very serious demonstration in Kumasi. I don't know if that was a Wongo demonstration or something like that. That was embarked by the opposition NPP then. So I was sent to give coverage on that, and I think I gathered so much experience from crowd reporting.
What would you say has been the most challenging assignment you have handled?
The most challenging assignment, I must say, when I started initially, was how to report on political issues. Because you must be very, very, very careful so that someone will not see you to be aligned. So that initially that was my challenge, but in the course of time, I was able to overcome that to an extent. So at the basic level or at the initial stage, the political reporting was actually my biggest challenge because I feared that someone would think that you are misrepresenting the facts. You may do it unknowingly, but someone will read meanings into it, and we know how journalists get hurt in the course of that and all that. But for now, I think it's not quite any dicey area for me because I've been in the field for the past over 8 years, working with the politicians from various angles and all that. But before then, I just conclude on my journey from Kumasi to the Upper East. Some of my friends objected to that. They didn't want me to move up there because they felt like, oh, you're making headways in the Ashanti region. Why would you have to go to the north there? I mean, you are going to kill your career. But I still said no. Even though I have an interest in the environment, to go and start up the NGO and all that, but I still had to. So I went back, and then one of my friends who had heard of me on radio in Kumasi said, no, I can't. You have to still do radio. And I still had to correspond for my people in Kumasi from the Upper East region. So I was introduced to the general manager at Tanga Radio. He's Agana Bawa. Bawa was hosting the flagship morning show, The Agenda. And that was one of the biggest shows in the region by then in 2015. That was June 2015. So when I first went, he made me to read the news, the major news bulletin. I read, he was impressed. He said, okay, the next day I should come and then produce him on the morning show. So I did so. So the following week, he said, oh, he has some few stuff to do. So he wanted me to sit in on the show. So I sat in, and that was around July in 2015. I sat in and he felt like it was the feedback was great. So he felt, okay, I should continue. So he just gave his show to me and started doing his own stuff. And that's how I started my career, my full-time career as a political talk show host on Tanga Radio, in which I steered their affairs. I steered their affairs from 2015 or between 2015 and 2017, and I left for another bigger platform. That was A1 Radio, that I also was a morning show host and the head of political desk between 2017 and 2022. That I left for Accra here in 2022. That was February to join Joy.
I see. How has social media changed journalism?
Okay, at first you see that breaking news used not to spread up faster, because after recording you need to send the tapes and then go and cue it and play. But with the advent of the social media, we know that you just go and capture it. Someone can take it live, put it on the social media platform. Everyone gets to, see it instantly. That's one aspect of it, news getting faster. Another aspect has to do with misinformation and disinformation, in which you know is a very big challenge. Sometimes you think that you have, you go to do a particular story, someone comes to capture a different angle, and before you realize it's already out there. And perhaps what you bring out as authentic, because you need to verify, double check, cross check to bring the authentic information. What you bring out later will be seen as still news. Some people think that, oh, someone has already broken the news. Maybe what you are bringing is just a follow-up to what the person has brought. But I think, social media, it has its pros and cons. But I think now, for the fact that I can just sit in the house and file reports, it's helping me in my work as a journalist. So easier and faster. But the fact that people can also disinform and misinform people is a dangerous tool to journalism that some of us think it should be seriously regulated.
Have you at any point in the line of duty been approached with anything material or monetary to compromise some story or program you were handling?
All right. So I have dealt with the political class from NDC and NPP and other political parties as well. Aside that, there are stories that you go to carry out, someone sees it to be damaging, that they may want some settlements. And what I do mostly is that when it is an explosive story, I don't put myself in the picture so that someone gets to know that he's the one behind it. So you don't even have that access to come and ask me, oh, what can I do? What can we do about the story and all that? I remember in 2016.
So does it mean such explosive stories, you use a pseudonym or it goes without a byline?
Yeah, it goes without my name on the byline. But if it is for the purpose of radio, the recorded material that we have, I'll definitely use it for my discussions. I remember in 2016, there was a story that had to do with the DVLA where they were taking exorbitant fees from people to register their vehicle. So I went there, I did the work, and I caught the Guru boys taking more money, people paying without receipt, because I had to pass through the process myself. I had to, in the Upper East region, I got a new motorbike, went there to register, go through the process, and then they charged money more than the actual duty that was written on the sheet. So all that while I was recorded. So when I was done with the investigations, I presented before the then regional director, one Mr. Pia. He was very, very angry why I should be allowed to the premises and all that, and quickly called the Guru boys. They should do whatever they can to sort the issue out. So whilst on my way, these Guru boys came and met me and said, okay, we are going to refund your money and possibly add something so that the story ends there. I was like, no, I'm not interested in that. What I wanted to see is what I've seen. So I aired it as such, and then some changes were actually made at the DV early. But I can say categorically that, it depends on how you carry yourself that people may want to approach you. Because on radio, I'm not a shy type, but in personal life, I don't want to be known, especially in gatherings, so that people get to know that you're the one and all that. And that's one thing I've always liked about radio. People hear your voice. Sometimes they can ask you, are you the one? Your voice sounds familiar to someone we know already. So I'm not the one. Maybe the sound of our voices may be same, but I'm not the one. So to answer your question, I have not actually given that opportunity for anyone to come and say, okay, take this, and then compromise your stance. And that's one thing that I can always put my head up, say what I want to say, without anyone sitting somewhere to say that, oh, this guy here is a compromised person, even though there have been allegations. And that is one of the greatest pain that when I think of it, I feel so bad. I know, you and I know that journalism is just like a signpost. You direct people to the right direction, but if you don't take time, you yourself, move forward. I remember some time ago in 2020, 2021, I was actually accused that a politician had bought a car for me and had given me some sum of money. That was about 15,000. And for what reason, I didn't know why those allegations were coming from. So what actually happened was I came with a friend to Accra, and I took a picture with a car. And my friends were teasing me on social media, and they were like, oh, Sammy has gone to buy a new car, blah, blah, blah. So when I came back, the rumor was like, oh, because I was critical about the then regional minister for my region, Upper East region, the minister has sorted me out. So that was the word used. Sorted me out with a car and some amount of money, 15,000. I was like, hey, so if someone really wants to bribe me, is it 15,000 that I'll go for? How long is that going to last? If that is indeed, if I'm going to go for something like that. So I felt that pain, that despite the struggle that I was going through, people could still tag me. I mean, I was trying to do my best for society, but people could still see that, go to that extent to level such wild allegations against me.
How did that affect your work at that time?
All right, so I was so careful with the people I deal with. I was down at a point. My zeal of seeing certain things or ensuring that certain things were done actually nearly dwindled. But I felt like, no, if you want to listen to what people say about you, perhaps you'll not be able to make any progress. So why don't you just forget about, because that's the work you've chosen. No one will definitely like you. People have their own opinions about you, but you can't fall for that. But at a point, I felt my spirit went down. But in the course of time, I spoke about it because of the school of thoughts of being an optimistic person than allowing pessimism to override me. So on that angle, I was never, because there were other people that will call you at the end of the show or a program, they see you somewhere, they'll encourage you, they'll motivate you, thank you. These are people from the clergy, these are people from the political front, these are people from the traditional front, they're impressed. And that one alone gives me that one alone gave me that edge to continue doing my work without any feeling of being rejected or dejected by people that I felt I was actually serving all that while.
Journalism is experiencing attrition. So many of our professionals are abandoning their crafts. They are going into other things. Some of them public relations. Others are just jumping onto anything that will give them survival. What do you think is accounting for this?
One, society thinks that journalism must be a profession for the poor. They think that if you're a journalist, you must be poor. They think that a journalist should not have a better lifestyle. When they see you driving a new car, they think that, oh, you are corrupt. When they see a journalist living a better life, having a house to stay in, looking good, they see you to be a corrupt person. So that one alone is demotivating. So some people feel like, oh, so upon all the sacrifices I'm sacrificing, if I'm progressing, you would not encourage me, but you rather think that I'm using dubious or obnoxious ways to acquire the little that I have. So because of demotivation, people are now, becoming demotivated. And basic psychology teaches that at least the more you become discouraged, or the more the events around you do not encourage you, you definitely pull a brakes, or you definitely devolve some low level of taste for it. And that is what is exactly is happening in the field. We know that some of the media houses, the employers do not give them a better condition of service. You spend your whole time working. Sometimes we can go and work because we know that as a journalist, you don't have a spare time at all. I work Saturdays, I work on Saturdays, I work on Sundays, I work at any time. You don't have time for yourself, but the returns are not as expected. So one, it has to do with the fact that the demotivation factor from the way society sees us, or society sees us, and on the side of the condition of service from the employers. Some employers think that they are giving you a favor by giving you a platform to be on, so they can treat you anyhow. So sometimes you feel like, oh, I know my words, I'm qualified. I have colleagues who have become doctors, who have become lawyers. I could have equally become same, but that's the passion you have taken. So they feel like the field is no longer rewarding. And for how long will I continue to be a signpost, directing people to the right direction whilst I'm still stagnated? I'm not making any progress in my life. So because the conditions of service are not quite good, it's actually one of the factors for the attrition. And the fact that the society that we are serving do not even, at a point, when you get a problem as a journalist, society will go back against you. And we have been seeing it in the country. So sometimes when you think about these things, oh, look at the job that I do. I think that I'm serving the people, but anytime maybe the least slip that I make, I come under attack by the same people that I serve. So journalists have now seen the need to diversify because of the future, not about themselves, but their children. And also we have seen how older journalists have ended, that they have retired. There's nothing to their name aside the fame that, oh, this is a reporter, or this is a radio person or TV personality and all that. So because of the fear of the future, they feel like, no, I must have the passion, but the future of my family must be catered for now. So why don't I diversify and do other jobs, and then at least the journalism can become a part-time job and all that. So if you ask me the reason for the attrition, that is why, or that's what I think is one of the major reasons people are leaving the field.
On the back of these you have said, will you say journalism pays? Does it pay?
Per the work we do, if you just oppose what you do, your input, and what you get in return, it's not. So if you want to think about all these things, you know very well that, look, the work that you do as a journalist, and you go to other offices, what people do is not even up to quarter of what you do. Look, the security implication of the work we do, we normally undermine that. You can be killed at any time by anyone at all. We don't factor the security aspect of it. And unfortunately, some employers think that, oh, even what they are giving you is enough, like it's more than enough, like the work you do. After all, you've come to the office between, let's say, 6 to 2 p.m., you have closed. They think that the work you have done is not enough for them to pay you more. But have you factored in the security aspect, the way how the job is? So if you want to just calculate the energy that we invest, look, before you come out with a story, it involves so much brain drain.
Yes. It
involves a lot. It's not easy to sit and write a news story. Some people think it's so easy, think there's a format, but it involves a whole lot of brain work. Whenever I say brain work, some of my colleagues say Mbura likes using this word, but it involves a whole lot of brain processing. So
that's right.
It's not an easy job at all, because I am much concerned about the risk aspect of it. And I think that there should be even, risk allowances for journalists, employers should make it a point to ensure that their employees in the media fraternity are well catered for. Others, maybe my view may be weird, but I think that journalists can also be given the opportunity to use non-lethal weapons, at least things that you can use for self-defense.
Okay.
Like the pepper spray that the police use, the shockers that they use, something that is just for self-defense. And we are good to go. But when it comes to the cash aspect of it, it's not per the work we do, just opposing to what we are paid. I don't think it's enough.
Security is one of your reporting interests. Which aspect of security precisely is of interest to you?
I'm much more interested in cross-border crimes.
Okay.
I'm much more interested in extreme violence. Because sometimes when you see the symptoms, you would know. Someone who has a little security background would know. So I have much interest in it because, not just because I feel like I need to report about it, but for the fact there were certain reports that, or certain intels that I got that I never reported them in the media. I rather used the security approach. I alerted the police, and I work a lot with the Ghana Police Service.
Okay.
I rather alerted them, alerted the National Investigations Bureau.
Okay.
To look into it, to send their men on the grounds. I remember some time ago, I was on radio and someone called me on my personal line and was, screaming in the background, "Oh, there's terrorist attack in our community. There's terrorist attack in our community." And that was actually a border community to Burkina Faso.
Okay.
So the man apparently saw people running from the Burkina side into Ghana, the traders and all that. So he didn't know why. And by then, that was in 2021. There were reports of, there was an alert like that the bandits had their camp in the northern part of the country and all that. So I said, look, he wanted me to announce it so the security said. So I just told him that I should wait. I will act on it. So someone who does not have a security background would end up announcing that this is what is happening. Police, go there. Military, go there. So what I did was I quickly sent an info to the police, sent an info to the immigration, sent an info to the NIB that, look, this is the information that I'm picking, that some people have been attacked at our borders. So after the show, I had to follow up. So what came out was that there was a robbery attack on some of the traders.
Okay.
So that was actually a robbery attack, not
and others
terrorism.
were running for their lives.
Yeah, they were running for their lives. And then later, the immigration, there was a joint security action. They were able to track these criminals and then arrested them. So I have much interest in reporting on security when it comes to policing our borders and all that, because I think it is a responsibility. It is my responsibility as a journalist to ensure that the people that I serve are protected. Information that I get, I will share with them, because the main reason we report is because we want an action to be taken. But if you get the information, you alert the security agencies and they act on it, there is no need going back, because we need to calm the nerves, because these bandits pick information on the reports that we make. And that's one thing we don't know, or most media practitioners don't know. When you keep on giving them audience, it gives their investors the hope that let's pump more resources into their activities, because look at the reports that are coming. They're saying that, oh, they are here, they are there, they are there. You are giving them visibility. Yeah, so I have always held the view that it is just my core responsibility as a journalist to at least consider security reporting, not just for news purpose, but to also share with people around me and the security agencies to ensure that we are safe in maybe within the area that I work in as a country.
Yeah. You mentioned that journalists need certain items to be able to defend themselves in the line of duty. Have you also talked about the downside to it? I mean, obviously, in every situation, there are people that are ready to abuse privileges. What will be the downside, and how is that going to be checkmated? Let's assume this request you are, or this suggestion you are putting across is taken.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, we know in the Tree Palace they will say if you be a mess.
That's right.
We see some people who may want to abuse it and all that. Because I've had an experience before, that's why maybe I'm thinking that way. There was a time that was during the 2016 elections. I used to have 2 routes to my house, from the house to work and work to house. The reason was simple. The political tension was so high. And same as
where
2020.
Were you then? Which part of Ghana were you then?
By then I was with 2016. I was with Tanga Radio.
Okay.
In Borga. 2020, I was with A1 Radio in Borga. So I was the leader of the political desk. So you had a whole lot of information. Maybe you say something on air that a political party is not happy about and all that. I had instances that I was trailed and I had to alert my security tail that this is what is happening. So I had the opportunity, because I had friends in the agents, the security service. I informed one of the big men, and they gave me a contact that anytime you see these symptoms, alert your tail that we are giving you. You also know what to do. So I was privileged to have that treatment. How about those who did not have that opportunity? What happens? I remember some time ago in 2021, I did a report. It was actually an investigative report on a teacher that was still drawing, a teacher who impersonated his brother to infiltrate into the GES system and then was drawing salaries from the GES. I had a whole lot of documents on it and I did a report on it. Wow. That was on the 1st of May. I did a story in April, around 28th April. On the 1st of May, I woke up to go to work around 5 a.m. And I noticed that my car was burgled. My door glass was smashed. Ordinarily, if it were to be a thief, the person would have gone for your car battery, or go for your car tape and other stuff. But what I noticed was the person was looking for documents. They scattered my letterbox everywhere, every part of the car, took my recorders, and then some of the documents that I had but that wasn't the actual documents that I did for the report. So when all these things, I think about all these things, that's what makes me think that at least we should have some of them. So in case you see the person in the act, you can use it to defend yourself or even get the police. So people may want to abuse it in the sense that, don't you know, I'm a journalist, maybe with the least provocation, the person can go. But we need to go through some. You need to go through some training before you can be given at least some psychological training on the usage of such weapons, or some security training before you can. You should be licensed to at least go ahead. So if they study you, they feel like they are certified, then you can go ahead. Because it got to a point, especially during elections, some of us who were key figures in the media, they will tell you that, okay, if you are able to afford maybe a sidearm, we can take you through the training, then give you the license for your own protection. Yeah, so that is basically the angle that I'm coming from. Some people may abuse it, but I think on the larger scale, we need it so that at least it would serve as a self-defense weapon in our line of duty.
Do you support calls for the licensing of journalists?
I'm 100% in support, but maybe the approach may be problematic. So it should not be regulated by government. It should not be the role of, let me say, the Ministry of Information to say, okay, we are coming to train journalists and give them certificates to operate. That would be tantamount to censorship. We are trying to censor their work. Yes. Maybe, but we have GIBA, we have PRIMPAC, we have GGA. So if you have all these organs,
how independent are those?
Yes. So that is another argument that you may mount. But I think that just like in the law profession, we have the Ghana Bar Association that gives the, license to, to their professional, because journalism is a profession.
Yeah.
It's a professional field. And if it's a professional field, it must be followed with the code of ethics. Now, the GTA code of ethics cannot apply to everybody because it is optional for me to join the association.
Exactly.
So you realize that
and the GTA doesn't even have any biting powers.
Exactly. So it has given the opportunity to some rogues in the media to get, or in the name of, I'm a media person. You see that someone has completed secondary school or someone who has not even been to a classroom say, oh, I'm a journalist. Because the person has a pen and a paper, there's a program somewhere. Sometimes I get embarrassed. Some time ago, I went for a media coverage. I think it was a political rally or something like that. You see people, their appearance, you see people, the way they follow these people to beg for money, and it was so embarrassing. It should be regulated. If you have people who are, properly vetted and given the certification, you realize that you expect the best of conduct.
Yeah.
And you see, if we are properly regulated, if the media is properly regulated, it will give us the opportunity to put pressure on the employers to give us better condition of service. Yes, journalists belong, there may be unionization or something of that sort, but ours is not strong as compared to others. So for me, I think that certification of journalists should be very, we should look at it. It's very important. So that we take out some of these people who use the media as a conduit to blackmail people, the media as a conduit to just do anything obnoxious, write stories that are, do not have facts, that are unjournalistic and, unethical. People, I read some stories, people, are promoting tribal hate, people are promoting violence, the language, they don't even assess the taste. And social media has made it worse because there's no editor on social media. You realize someone writes a story and doesn't go through the right procedure, assessing the taste, getting people who matter to look at the legal implication, look at the security implication. They write it and, it goes. So licensing journalists is very important, but maybe the approach could be problematic. But I think that is the right way for us to go. Crimpak, GIBA, GGA can come in and all that. Because if you want to look at the National Media Commission, we know how the appointment is being made. National Communication Authority too is not directly in the regulations of the work of the media because they are just for the frequency modulation and all that. But the NMC is where we settle our scores and all that. So I think that, yes, to an extent, we can think about it to make the profession a profession so that we'll be able to clean out these rogues in the system, abusing journalism and then its principles and all that.
Right. If we are to go back into time, 10 years, are you still going to choose journalism?
Oh, I'll choose journalism. At all time. There have been ups and downs, but I will. I feel, like I said, it's a calling. I do it because I do it for passion. I don't do it because I feel I should be rewarded for doing it. But that doesn't mean that I should not do. I should do without expecting paid. Yes, I should be paid. But I remember some time ago there was this award organizing scheme. They contacted me. I think they contacted me. They were like, "Okay, we want to add you to the best morning show host category. What do you make of it?" And then it comes with voting and all that. I said, look, I don't subscribe to this. I don't do the work because I want someone to come and award me, give me an award or something like that. At least the feedback I get from people is enough. If I'm able to impact lives, it's enough for me. So I have declined such organizers the opportunity to be part because I will not use my fan base to vote and enrich you, and then you can give me a flag or something like that as a reward and all that. Some time ago, I went to a particular community. It's a farming community, and I didn't know that the people listen, because someone is in the farm. How would they listen? Yeah. It's an English program, so how would a person listen to me? Not knowing these were people who followed me from every platform that I went.
They carried their radio sets to the farm.
Yeah, so I actually went to do a story when this issue about the one district, one village, one dam thing came. So we're looking at the feasibility of that particular project. So I was looking at it from the angle of, why don't you rather enhance dry season farming? Because if you are coming to create dams for people in the northern part of the country, note that we have the unimodal form of rainfall, meaning we have it comes once in a year.
That's right.
So if you want to do that, you should look at sustainable means of getting the people water. Now, you want to construct a dam, and then your dam doesn't have a source. There is no tributary, there is nothing that joins into your dam. You say, oh, it's rain-fed. So I initially, I thought that it was going to be something that was going to be bigger, to create some canals. Because if you say a dam should have all these features, the canals, it should have the spillway, and then the irrigation part and all that. So I actually went to this community to talk to them what they made of government's approach. Do they think that was it? So when I got there and they said, oh, the assemblyman introduced me and said, oh, this is Samuel Mbura. And so they were so happy seeing me. They said, wow, we thought we'll see a giant, someone who is a big person, but look at you. I was so much impressed that they saw me and were happy. And when I was going back, imagine what I had. They gave me a guinea fowl. They gave me
food items and all that.
Yeah, food items. They brought onion. They brought tomatoes and packed in my cupboard. So I was that gave me joy. That wow. I mean, they feel like what you say resonates with them.
That's right.
All that you say on your platform is actually goes in sync with what they feel or they go through. So that alone gives me that feeling. At least I've been able to impact. At least I've been able to talk about certain things. I remember there was this issue of poor street lighting system in the Upper East region. I was so much concerned about it because I am security bias. Because if you say that you want us to fight crime, and the regional capital, there is poor lighting system. Your street lights are not working. That is, you can, no matter the number of police personnel you deploy in the street or the street in that place, they cannot fight it because the areas are dark. So I embarked on a late burger or get burger late now campaign, and the people bought into it. And before we realized, and you know how these are politicians act. They came, remember the president came to commission some street lights in, I don't know whether you read that report, in the Upper East region. They actually had to, come in, get contractors to work on the street light. We embarked on another campaign on getting the traffic light fixed. All these things were, so sometimes when you look back, the impact you've made, and at least the responses from the people, you feel, wow, anytime I get opportunity, I will do it more and more and more. But you see, the challenge has always been the Larijan part of it. And I hope that it only improves. Yeah. But I think it takes time. You know, if you're able to build that image for yourself, some of these things, it will open doors for you. Not for you being corrupt, but
that's right.
The fact that people appreciate the work that you do, because there are certain areas that at a point I didn't like going there, because you go to a particular restaurant to eat, someone comes there, and before I leave, I want to pay. They tell, oh, someone has paid you, and the person will not show up. Someone has paid for you. I remember some time ago, I went to buy food. Then the person, they asked the fuel attendant, how much is he buying? And I think that was 2018. 100 cities could give you like 20 liters or so.
Okay.
There's I'm buying, giving double of that. I saw that the thing was reading more. I said, hey, master, please. I said I'm buying 100 cities because this is the fuel I'm going to manage for a week or so. Then he said, no, it has been paid. So you see some of these things coming alone.
Yeah.
Even though it's not the case that you rely on what people would give you, but like the fact that people appreciate your work, and then they try to support because they know that you are putting in your all, because it got some time that when there's a distress call about a particular community, you have to use your own fuel, go there and come back. What can the community people offer you that you say, oh, they have to give you something? No. Yeah. You have to just go and do charity work and all that. So if you ask me today, if I die today and then I'm giving birth again, you ask me what work will you do, I will still go into responsible journalism. That's what I would do.
Are you doing journalism for life, or there is a point you also join the bandwagon of attrition?
I don't know. Frankly, I don't know what the future holds, but I don't see from now. I don't see myself departing from the work. I wish. I don't know what the divine plan is for me from my creator, but I wish I could be that strong pillar in the media fraternity. Work to an extent that, okay, when I'm relaxing, I know that I worked throughout my work as a journalist. But I mean, I can still do side jobs. As of now, I still do side jobs. Like someone wants some consultancy or something. Yeah. Okay, someone wants you to do something for him, maybe a political thing. Okay, what is the data? What do you think? Or can you provide me some data? Yes, these are some of the side things that you can do to. Okay, we want some information about an upcoming project. What can you do? I mean, we want to conduct a survey. What can you help us do? Yeah. I mean, it helps. So for now, I don't foresee myself departing from it because journalism is a tradition. I'm in it forever. I'm in it forever. If only nothing happens, or if, I mean, like I said, the future is not known, but I want to be in it forever.
My final question: what's your take on Solly?
Wow, solidarity. Solidarity or Solly, Solly is from the word solidarity.
That's right.
They give us you to solidarize with you as the reason organizers do that is because they want to facilitate your work. They know that you are buying data. They know that you are buying fuel and all that. So it's a facility. It's not an entitlement to any journalist. So if you're a journalist and you go somewhere, they don't give you Solly, you need not to fight with anyone. But you see, the fact of the matter is that in the Western media, they provide the resources.
Yes.
They provide the resources. And if you have an established outlet like multimedia, for instance, if you are going out, you have a driver, you have a cameraman. I mean, so what are you going to? Why would you go and take Solly? Because the reason they give you Solly is for transportation. Yeah. So if you have all these things done, there's no need for you to go into it. But sometimes you understand the predicament of some journalists. The last time I was I can't remember the exact location, but it was in Accra here. So when we finished the program, I was parking with my camera person and the driver was on standby. So we were leaving. Before we could realize, hey, Jack, we saw some of the, paparazzis. There were many. You don't know the media houses they work for. And sometimes they can even, when they come around and see that, oh, is Joy FM there? No, it's any other media person there. Say, no, the person, right, oh, I write for Joy Online. Then they will take their thing. I saw the people fighting with the organizer because there were too many. And the budget was quite low. And they were fighting. I felt embarrassed, you see, and all these things boil down to the fact that there's poor remuneration in the media fraternity, there's poor regulation, and anyone at all can get around.
But those paparazzis, do they really work for any media house?
Yeah, no, that one is an obvious fact that they don't write a story. Some of them cannot even put pen to paper. They are not able to do that. But the general point I'm just trying to make is that Solly is some people are debating the ethical basis of it, that it can deprave and corrupt your mind to write a story in favor of the person and all. I mean, especially when it comes to the political sector. But I think that Solly is not part of journalism. If an organizer organizes a show or a program, they think that, okay, you, like I said earlier, you buy fuel, you need data and all that, gives out, the person is not giving out because the person wants to bribe you to write a story. But I think that it is not an entitlement, it is a privilege. If the person gives you, I'll be hypocritical to tell you that, oh, journalists don't take solely. I'll be hypocritical to do that. So, but the point is that when people go to extreme to fight for it, that is where the challenge is. You are not entitled to it. That is not your entitlement. It's just a privilege that the organizers do it. So there may be different types of solido, but the solid that we all know, you go and then you say, take this for TNT. Personally, I can't remember last time I took something. I can't remember last time I took soda. But I think that it should not be, if the solid is given, it should not be to influence the journalist to write an angle that the organizer wants and all that. But all in all, there's always the other part in every profession. You go to the police, whenever they are, even when there was a case I was following, I'm not trying to denigrate the police, I'm just citing an example. They say, oh, we need to go and pick up the culprits. You need to get us transportation and all that. It is not the fault of the people. It's the fact that the means is not there. So if media house owners provide the required equipment, I don't think journalists will give them to these solid and all those things. After all, what's can it? How much is it? How much is it that some people from the outside will think that, oh, they are giving it to influence the journalists and all. But I think I will not make a categorical statement on it whether it is. Like I said, I'll be a hypocrite to say that, but I wouldn't chastise someone who goes for it. But if you are going for it, go for it with a mindset that it's not going to influence you to write the story. You shouldn't go and ask the person for it. If they give you and the lines are quite drawn, that, oh, this is for your fuel. Oh, kindly take this for your fuel or something like that. You have not asked for it. The person is giving it his will. Okay, you just take this and all that. But it becomes problematic if you demand for it. It's not more solid. If you fight for it, it's not solid. But if the case that the person out of his own will says that take this, it's your discretion. It's individual discretion when it comes to solid, that you either take it or not. It depends on where you belong. But some media houses abhor that. You don't need to take it at all because they think that it can compromise you and all that. So to say whether taking solid is good or not, it is the discretion of the journalists out there, and whether you'll be influenced by what you are given or not.
Samuel Mbura. This has been PENSDOWN. On PENSDOWN, we talk journalism journeys. A lot happens to journalists, but the principles of news reporting is such that the journalist is an observer, not a participant. What they go through personally, they do not add to the reports. That is why PENSDOWN is here. The pen represents the journalist. On this platform, they drop the pen. That is why we call it PENSDOWN. They become the newsmakers, and then we throw the questions at them so that they tell us all that goes on behind the scenes. Thanks for joining us. My brother, I'm grateful for your company.
I'm also grateful.
Right. We'll be back next time with another edition. Do stay with us and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.